Thank you, Luphumlo, and good evening, everyone. It's my honor and privilege to join you tonight in this very, very important conversation that Luphumlo and his team have organized. I believe that you've had a number of other speakers that actually shared some interesting information and ideas around small business in the current state of the world as we know it. So I thought that I should actually maybe share with you a couple of my thoughts, and maybe just give you a background as to what I am and how I got to know Luphumlo. You know, Luphumlo is an author, and we met by chance after he actually knocked on my door to have a discussion around the publication of his new book, and also the whole subject of leadership. And we had in-depth discussions of the two of us, and that is where our friendship, if you like, was actually born, because we share the same views about the importance of authentic and conscious leadership in today's world, not just in business, but also in society. And from that, of course, developed a relationship where we actually continue to communicate, and so on. So his invitation to me tonight is not unusual, it's not strange, and I welcome it because certainly I share his passion for development. I share his passion for creating a new leadership ethos with impact. And I know that he stands for that in his organization. So let us talk about the world of business and the world of the economy. You know, many people talk about economy and business interchangeably, but what we don't normally say is that business is actually the applied side, the practical side of economics. So if you are in business, you're actually a practitioner of the economy and in the economy. So you actively participate and you make things happen in the economy by being a businessman. Whether you're a small business or a big business, it doesn't matter. You are active in the economy. So in our country, as you know, and in the world today, the role of small business has become quite an important one. People have now suddenly learned to appreciate the role of business, small business, SMMEs, if you like, and their contribution to economic growth, and of course, their contribution to eradicating unemployment, inequality, and poverty. But it's not so easy. You know, we're living in a world that is unpredictable. So even for big businesses, it's not easy. And now, even more so with the COVID-19 pandemic, we have come to realize that the world that we live in has become uncontrollable. Nothing is permanent. Everything is subject to change. Change is the only constant. And then we cannot talk about a normal anymore. Normal is not permanent. And therefore, the world in which we do business, the world in which we work, the world in which we live, that world is constantly changing. And we have to find new ways of living, new ways of working, new ways of doing business. We call it, and I'm not sure I like the word, but we call it the new normal. So I would like to maybe just quickly talk to you about a number of these things and how it actually works. You know, in the world today, in business world, we call it a turbulent world, a volatile world, an uncertain world, a world full of complexity, a world that is ambiguous. And those four words spell VUCA, V-U-C-A, the VUCA world, meaning that we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Today, business is fine. Tomorrow, business is bad. So we're living in an uncertain world, unpredictable. We can't say tomorrow that we'll make a 5,000 Rand sale. because tomorrow is uncertain. But that world was okay up until 2020. We will develop models to predict uncertainty, what the new future will look like, and suddenly came COVID-19, and that pandemic has actually added a new aspect to the VUCA world. I call it the VUCANT world. In other words, VUCA and NNT, VUCANT. And the VUCANT world means that we add novelty, new things happening, new ways of doing business, new ways of living, new ways of working, new ways of managing, new leadership ethos, you name it. So VUCANT, and then of course the T is turbulent. In other words, it's really, really tough. It's really, really rough. It's spinning out of order. That's the world that you are doing business in, and the world that I am doing business in, and the world that Volkswagen or General Motors or Google or Apple or ShopRite is doing. We all are in the same world, in the same storm. And so it's important to understand what we need to do to make things work for ourselves. It is about, on the one hand, survival. Yes, when you drive through the storm, it's important to have survival instincts, as it were, but also to remember it's not just about surviving the storm, it's also about thriving. But how do we get that going? There are a number of things that I think I should share with you, and I've actually prepared a few things that I thought I should talk about. But for now, let me just quickly embed a couple of things, what happened this year. This year, when the pandemic became quite a global threat to the world economy, to people's livelihoods and people's lives, governments all over the world, on the instruction from the World Health Organization, decided to lock down their countries. In other words, implement strict controls on people's movements. Now, people mobility is the engine of life. It's the engine of economic activity. And so when they place these restrictions on people's mobility, stay at home, stay safe and stay at home, it sort of also stopped the economic engine. It sort of stopped the economic engine from running, and therefore economic growth and economic output and productivity ground to a halt. This meant that many of our people stayed at home and earned no income because many companies couldn't afford it. Small business owners themselves, like yourselves, found themselves in the same predicament. You couldn't pay salaries because there was no income, because you couldn't sell your products because people were staying at home. People were not walking towards your business or phoning in or ordering online because they knew that you couldn't get the product because your business was closed. Closing the businesses throughout the world closed the economy. And the economy is our livelihood. We can living from economic activity. So it was a terrible thing that happened out the world. And as you will know, almost 150 million people lost their jobs in the first month of the global lockdown. And the carnage of job losses is continuing. In South Africa, up until the end of last month, we've lost 3 million jobs. So how does a small business owner survive in these difficult times? It's a difficult question. People don't actually worry about small businesses actually, because the small business owner have to worry about that himself. And yes, indeed, the Luphumlo initiative to actually have talks like this by people that know, I hope that I will be able to make a contribution. It's actually a very, very worthy initiative. So let me tell you what we did as a business school, and maybe I can from that share some of the wisdom that I learned from some of the speakers that we wrote up. In July, August, and September, I initiated a webinar series on business rebound, business recovery for all businesses by having speakers on our platform that actually have the expertise, to actually share how people actually can survive in the interim and how you need to prepare for the future. What actually happened was we had 7 speakers, and of course they shared their wisdom. But some of the lessons that I took from what I could see from these things were the following. In essence, the biggest challenge that faces the business, and we still face business today, is cash flow. And we know cash is king in a business. And so cash flow management is the key. And what happened to businesses? Because they had to close down for a period of time, there were no sales volumes, and hence no revenue. And many, many small businesses obviously do not have these sort of reserves, and some don't have the bridging facility with banks to actually have overdraft to finance them through the lockdown period. And so many of them actually closed or had to close their businesses because of that. I don't know what is your position. I don't know what you have been going through, but certainly we can start talking about how you get things back on track. And that will be interesting because some of the questions that you can actually raise in the chat box will trigger the kind of answers that we might be able to formulate, not just from my own knowledge, but also from the wisdom of people that are sharing in this particular group this evening. So let me quickly then go to the whole story of what is the most important thing about business. I said was your cash management, how to manage cash. Now, of course, government loans in itself is not going to be helpful at this stage because it is very, 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 very difficult to actually provide funding to businesses in the post-COVID period because government had a thirst sort of funding from the UIF to provide with employers who have employees and so on. So how do we make it work? The first thing important is to look at you as the owner, as a leader. What do leaders do in a crisis? The crisis where things are unpredictable, where they don't know. You need to assert control once again and give certainty to your business. I'm talking in very, very abstract terms, but if you don't know what to do, how else is your business going to fly? And perhaps it is important to reflect on what it is that your business model is all about. In other words, go back to your basics. Go back to your business model again and look at exactly what it is that constitutes your business model. Who are my customers? What is my product? Who are my partners? What are the market segments? What are the resources that I have and that I will need to go forward? And once you've answered those questions and go back to it, you need to understand that at the moment, you are operating in what we call a low-touch economy. And that means that the normal business, the way you did business, is not going to come back to you soon. As I'm sitting now, I've been working from home since March. The whole university actually, and many other people are still working from home. So in other words, if I was your customer in the mornings, where on my way to work, I would stop at your shop and buy myself a coffee. I'm not doing that anymore because I'm at home. I'm working remotely. So the petrol station down the road that used to sell petrol to me because I need to get to my workplace, he's not getting my money to sell petrol anymore because I'm working it from home. I don't need my car. So the low-touch economy has changed economics completely for businesses because less and less people, whilst going on the way, commuting to work, are spending money on lunch, on tea, on petrol, on newspapers that they buy, on the soaps, and so on. So if you are affected by that economic value chain, you need to know how do you find alternatives. How do you find alternatives to that market that is no longer buying from you because they're in a low-touch economy? The second part of it, obviously, is many, many people, because of social distancing and because of the threat of infection, they decided not to go to shops anymore. They don't go to the Spaza anymore. They don't go to ShopRite or Checkers anymore. They stay at home. They buy bulk and stay for 4 weeks at home. And when they need something, they will either buy online or they will find another way of doing it. But they stay away. So that is all part of the low-touch economy where people do not actually come to your shop and physically buy from you anymore, but they find other ways. So that affects your sales and your sales volumes, and certainly that is an important challenge to understand. How do you find innovative new ways? How do you find new ways and design new ways in which you could still be of service to your customer? That is only you can actually find ways to innovate. In other words, you have to understand that you can't still wait behind the counter in your shop for customers to come because they're not coming. They're not going to come. And you need to take the business to them. And how can you do that? You need to find ways in which you could do that. The most important thing, and it's very difficult for small business owners, is that the digital economy in the next few years is going to be the way in which we do business. Business is going to go digital. The way we work is going to go digital. And so you need to prepare yourself for that eventuality as well. And what do you need in terms of digital technologies to actually become a player in the digital economy? You need to understand how you can automate, for example, some of the things that you do and how you can actually provide the product in digital format to clients. In other words, the economy that will reign supreme in the new order will be what we call e-commerce. E-commerce will become the key metric by which economies will survive or not. Meaning that people will, instead of walking into shops and buying physically, there's a big possibility because of the pandemic and its dangers and the new culture of low touch that are taking place. People will buy things online. People will buy things online. And that's e-commerce, meaning that you need to find the right digital platforms to still operate your business and so become still relevant and valuable to your clients and to your customers. It's not easy. It's not easy because certainly that will require an important investment. But let me come down to some of the brass tacks of the low-touch economy. Are you facing at the moment a situation where, because of the lockdown regulations, some of your people are working from home? And if that is the case, how do you measure their productivity? How do you actually make sure that they are still actually producing what they need to produce for your business to thrive? How do you measure that? One important way to do that is not to look at the time that they spend on the computer, but more the outputs. In other words, you need to now ask for certain targets to be achieved. For example, in a production business, you will, for example, require from them to have a certain quantity of output in a day that you will require, and so on, instead of saying you must be 8 hours at work. It's not important because now it's about flexible hours because people can work remotely. That's just one of the things that you need to look at in ways in which you could change that. But I don't know, like I said, what actually type of business you are in. It will be more specific to your specific type of business that I can answer maybe some of the questions, how you can actually make it survive. But some of the key things here, as I said, and I will repeat, that is your cash management. There is no way that at this particular point in time that you could actually invest in projects or in anything that is not going to enhance your business. The only way that you can spend money now is if it is going to be supporting your operations to make more money. If you want to spend 100,000 rand on a machine and that machine is not going to make money for you, you can't spend it because cash is king, cash is precious, cash is scarce in the low-touch economy. Cash is scarce in the recession. We are living in a recession at the moment. You must remember that people have lost their jobs. People don't have the buying power they had before. and therefore customers are few and far between. And there's a huge competition for customers. So you've got to get your marketing right. You've got to get your sales techniques right. You've got to find the right way in which you communicate with the customers and provide them with a value offering that they would buy instead of shopping around. They would buy it from you. It's tricky, but you need to understand your product. You need to understand your customer. Who's your customer? What do they need now? What do they offer? What do I offer them as a solution to placate and to satisfy their need? Those are the important things. It's back to basics for you as a business person. But I want to repeat the whole story of cash. What little cash you have, you cannot take a salary if you're a businessman at the moment. No, if you're a small business owner, you can't take a salary. You've got to plow money into your business to make sure that you keep surviving. And many of your plans of expansion will have to wait and recalibrate your business to start small again and build it bigger and bigger and bigger again. Of course, some people have the luck. Some people have the luck, but not all of us have the luck. That something will land on your lap and you will find a big contract and there you go. But if you don't have the cash, you will not be able to go there. I think there's a lot of goodwill amongst the African banking sector. They have provided a number of people with finance, bridging finance over this time to actually help him. Maybe those are the kind of facilities that you need to look at. Speak to your business banker about that. But certainly, you need to make sure that your business cannot finance your lifestyle. Business cannot finance your livelihood. Business must finance your business. Because that is what it's about. In the end, that's only that you're going to survive. So coming back to the most important aspect in which Luphumlo and I have had several discussions about is about leadership. It's about your leadership ethos and what kind of leader you are. Many people talk about situational leadership, authentic leadership, conscious leadership, ethical leadership, responsible leadership. All of those things are what you need to do. But a leader that does not actually continuously think strategic, continuously re-looks at his or her mission as a business, is a leader that is planning to fail. It's important that you always look to your strategy and your mission. And a leader that does not see the future is lost. The best way today for leaders to survive and thrive is to learn from the future. We have learned a hard lesson as the world. We never saw a virus of this kind coming. There was a movie, I think it was 2012, called Contagion. It spoke about this kind of virus. And about 3-4 years ago, in England, they actually had a what you call a dry run of a possible pandemic such as the coronavirus. But in business, we actually never actually really thought about what this could mean to business, to the economy. The scale at which things happened has actually been quite phenomenal, and it has actually caught us unawares. So learning from the future is what we need to do. And the future that is coming, even before coronavirus, is digital. So 4IR is saying the digital economy is upon us. The coronavirus has just escalated our trajectory towards that. It just catapulted us into this new future. Now, yesterday, you were quite happy to do your business in a very, very non-digital, analog way. Today and for tomorrow, you've got no choice. The customers are going online in their thousands and their millions. And we need to be there, because if you don't have a digital or web presence, you are going to be lost to your customers. So that future that you need to learn from is something that you need to contemplate and build scenarios on. It's perhaps ideal, but that is what we do at the business school, and what I do as a consultant. I help people to do scenario planning. We look at your business and we say, what is your business all about? What is the macro environment in which your business operates? What is happening in that environment? In other words, from a political, economic, social, legal, health, technological, and so on point of view. And how is that impacting your business? For example, if you were selling telephones to people, the old telecom telephones, you now know that the telecom telephones is no longer the in thing. Cell phones have taken over as the means of communication. So your shop selling telecom telephones, you got to reconfigure that business and start selling cell phones, because that is where people are going. If you are still considering to put in a telecom ADSL copper line, forget about it. Fiber is here. And even fiber, even fiber is yesterday, because tomorrow is 5G. So what I'm trying to say is that you need to understand your business and how your environment, the macro environment, is changing in your environment. And look to the future, because that future is coming to you very, very fast. The future is coming to you very, very fast. And if you don't meet that future with a strategy, you are going to get lost. Look at, for example, companies like Kodak and IBM. They believed that their cameras, their computers were the best in the world. And then came the Apple Mac. And then came other companies that took over the world of photography and so on. Are you going to be in that? The same happened to General Motors, for example, as well. But this is an interesting thing. Maybe just quickly, you know, the alcoholic drink gin is an English drink that nobody wanted to drink many, many years ago, because, you know, there's fancy whiskey, there's fancy tequila, and so on. And nobody wanted to drink a gin anymore. And so the people, the gin makers, there was this gin revolution 3 years ago, where they reimagined the future of gin, reimagined the future of their product. And they made lots of new changes. They used lots of technologies and marketing strategies and communication strategies, learning from what people like, the new changes that people would like. And today, gin is the most famous drink of all. And you see the gin revolution. Everybody talks about drinking gin and so on. So in your particular product that you have as a business, it's important for you to actually reimagine the future of your business. And there's ways in which you can do that by looking at scenario planning, learning from its future, and then acting upon that strategy by implementing new ways of doing business through design thinking and innovation. So it's rather difficult to speak more specifically to the businesses that you are facing, but it's more important for me to share a couple of things with you around the changes that are taking place. And I want to maybe just quickly share with you a few thoughts that I have and I want to maybe then close off there, Luphumlo, for now, or rather pause, maybe allow for some questions, and then maybe I can take it further. Just as a last point, I spoke about the business model canvas, and maybe I just want to see if I can't share this quickly with you. Just a minute, if you don't mind. Let's see if I can share the screen. I hope it's sharing now. Can you see that, Luphumlo?
Yes, we can see it, Doc.
Okay, so just to quickly go to this slide here. You know, this is a business model. And I asked a question. I did this presentation last year to a group of small businessmen in Durban. I did it through a webinar. And I asked them the question, which business model works for you? And I put two car models there. You can see one is an old classic car and one is quite a new model. And it's all about what is your preference and what is your business and which one you choose. But the fundamental question to that, I can't answer for you because you know which model works for you. But the second most important question is, what is your customer like? What does your customer think? Do you understand your customers' habits? Because if you understand what they think like, if you understand what they know, what their habits are, there will be opportunity for you to create a new customer each day. So it's important for you in this difficult time to sit down again and think about your customer, but also think like your customer. What do they like? How do they like it? And how would they want it now that there's a new normal? But more importantly, think for your customer. Understand their needs, know their habits, disrupt their habits. Think for them. They need to know that you've got the solution for their problem. They need to understand that your product is the answer for them. In other words, you are not a market taker, you're a market creator. That is what will survive in the new normal of business. Be a market creator, not a market taker. Don't follow the band. This person is selling product X, I'm also going to sell it. Find what sets you apart. Distinction is going to be the order of the day. And then, of course, I think I want to just quickly go to the following one. I've highlighted your business model as the most important aspect of your business at the moment. And what does it look like? Your business model is your business strategy. It's your plan for successful operation of your business. What are the sources of new customers? How you can improve your market position. It also tells you about what is unique about you. It's a strategy for your tool as a part of your business plan, and it's an organizational development tool. So maybe I should just quickly look at this is what it looks like. This is the business model canvas. This is something that is a very intimate process. It's very, very intimate, where you sit down with your consultant and you actually discuss the business model canvas with people, and you look at what are your key partners, what are your key business activities, what are the resources that you need, what is your cost structures, what is your value proposition, your unique selling point, customer relationship, your channels of communication, your customer segments, who buys from you, who wants to buy from you, who should buy from you, what are your revenue streams. You put all of this on a canvas. This takes about a full day to sit down and really work out these things, because then you plot that on your strategic plan. And you connect this with innovation. And of course, the important thing is that your business model is like hunting. It helps you to hit the target. You take aim, you take a customer, use the right bait, and you set multiple traps, actually get customers to sell and buy from you as the business owner. So just some thoughts that I thought I should share, but this is important. If you haven't got this, you need to do some sort of work around developing a business model for you. And this business model is now to be updated, because new knowledge is coming to place about the way people are going to buy, the way people are going to live, the way people work, and other new markets. One of the things that we've learned about the low-touch economy is that, in the low-touch economy, adult people will actually become a more prominent client to look at, because they will have needs in the low-touch economy that will be speaking to technologies. For example, information they would like to have, entertainment, digital that they could access through handheld devices, for example. So indeed, you need to ask the question, what model works for you? And once you've got that, you need to sit down and look at your business model canvas and sit down to look at all these aspects and put them into something that will actually help you to answer these questions. What are your present markets, and what are the new markets that you can enter into? So I just wanted to quickly share that with you, Luphumlo. I just want to have one final comment. Trying to get back to my okay, there we are. Luphumlo, I'm still here. I hope that that I'm still audible to all of you. I see there are a number of questions, but I just want to quickly share one last point. One of the key things that's going to come out and is an opportunity for people is what's happening in the world economy now is localization. A few weeks ago, I sat in on the automotive sector's report, the annual survey. And coming from the manufacturing sector is localization. Make it local, local manufacturing. So the local markets will be buzzing and will be hungry for products manufactured locally. And that in itself is an opportunity for people. The second thing that's going to come out of this is that you need to work together. Even though you may own your own business, but collaborate with other businesses, because in that collaborative spirit, you are working as a collective and you are much stronger. You can compete more strongly with others. So I would use the term co-competition. Collaborate to compete strongly against your competitors. Those are the two things I want to leave with you at the moment. And we are all navigating a very, very huge storm. And in our boats that we are finding ourselves in, there are certain leaks on that boat. So what do we do when we find a leak in our boat? We try to stop the gap, to prevent the boat from sinking. I'm speaking in symbolic terms, but the boat is your business. There are leaks in your business and you need to stop gap it. That's what you call survival techniques. The other thing that may happen also is that you may find that you might have to try to get your boat to the shore, and that you might have to actually get out of the boat and start kicking, holding onto the boat to shift the boat towards the shore. In other words, you might find various techniques in which you could try to survive, to stay alive as a business. That is your first and most important business instinct, survival. Find the gaps, find the holes that leaks in your business and seal it. Seal it, first of all. I don't know what it is. It could be cash flow. It could be productivity problems. It could be the cost that you are paying, maybe rentals to customers or to tenants or to people or landlords that are charging you maybe too much. Whatever the problem is, try to fix that first. But remember, your survival is not the only strategy. Survival is the platform. It is the springboard for striving in your business. So once you've survived the storm and the waters have settled, you can start thinking about, how do I thrive? That's what I call learning from the future. How do you actually re-strategize? You have to reimagine your business future in the new normal. But it doesn't mean that whilst you are surviving in that phase, that you only have to do things the old way. If you find new ways that are going to work for you, do it. But remember, your first thing is to keep your boat afloat on the storm, to survive in the storm. Keep the doors of business open. Do whatever is necessary. Cut the costs. One of the biggest casualties in this time is human resources. Jobs have been shed. And many people think it's inhuman. But from a businessman point of view, a businesswoman point of view, it is a strategy for survival. Many companies that I know, I serve on one of their boards, we had to actually lay people off in the interim because we couldn't afford the salaries, because we didn't have income, but we didn't actually fire them. What we did was we actually kept them on our books. We still paid their provident fund. We paid their UIF. We paid their pensions, their medical aids. It's difficult. We paid it, but we couldn't pay them their salaries because we didn't have money. So now as things are beginning to get back to normal, customers are asking for us to come back to work for them again, and we bring them slowly back in again. So they didn't lose as much. And so it was a very inhuman thing for many companies, but it was also a real thing to do. So when you look about strategy for survival, look at the 360 degrees about what needs to be cut in your business, and do the right thing, do the ethical thing, do the responsible thing. Remember, you can do both. there is opportunity in the crisis. And if you can spot that opportunity, then you will thrive. It is in times like these when new businesses were born. When nobody had the answer, somebody came up with an idea how I can do this. And maybe this crisis is just your opportunity to actually take your business to the next level. So surviving is not separate from thriving. Surviving is your springboard for thriving in a business. And you can actually, like I said, start working on it whilst trying to survive. Thank you, Luphumlo.